Why did Cole Tomas Allen allegedly try to assassinate the entire Trump administration, excluding Kash Patel? And why is the elitist media completely obsessed with this story? We're gonna try to go inside his mind and break down all the curious psychology of what oddly happened at the White House Correspondents Dinner that evening. So now, let's get started.
It'll be funny, it'll be entertaining, there will be some shots fired tonight.
The timing is so weird because you see them be amazed because of the name, and they go, oh! And then right at that moment is when we all see what happens.
I just want to go cry.
Cole Allen is the 31-year-old guy who allegedly attempted to rush into the White House Correspondents' Dinner in the Washington Hilton to allegedly attempt to assassinate the entire Trump administration.
Cole Allen developed a prototype for a wheelchair emergency brake.
The wheelchair brakes tend to lock the wheels, but don't actually lock the chair to the ground.
He was a Caltech mechanical engineer graduate, then computer science master's graduate, and had even worked for NASA's JPL, Jet Propulsion Lab. Yes, curiously another NASA affiliate who suddenly behaved quite oddly and unexplained. Pearlman the Mentalist was the entertainer that evening, who was doing his mind-reading trickery, which in a prior video we already broke down the psychology of some of his tricks.
Who is this couple that's meant to be? Tell her, please.
Reese Witherspoon and Hugh Jackman.
Show it, turn around.
Clearly, Pearlman can't tell the future because a real mentalist would have known that was about to happen.
I thought there was about to be a bomb. Like, I really very much thought, oh my God, it's about to explode.
His speed was rather incredible. Actually, he was like a blur. I think the NFL should sign him up. He was fast. They drew those guns so fast, they looked like Matt Dillon.
In his manifesto email, there appears to be psychosis grandiosity, where he wrote as if he would be the only one with a gun in the banquet hall for hours, with the doors locked, and he would get to choose who lives and who dies. He wrote, administration officials, not including Mr. Patel, they are targets prioritizing from highest to lowest. He goes on to say, in order to minimize casualties, he will also be using buckshot rather than slugs, less penetration through walls. So apparently, in his mentally ill mind, he thought he would be able to roam free throughout the banquet hall and take out whoever he wanted relatively unchallenged. Yes, completely delusional. This type of psychotic delusional grandiosity is often common during manic episodes of bipolar or untreated schizophrenia. It's common for the onset of schizophrenia to be around 30 years old, so it's possible 31-year-old Cole started to feel those delusional symptoms, but his family and friends were unable to get him psychiatric help in time because in the days leading up to that event, he was sending his family concerning messages that he was going to do something terrible, and his family sent those messages to the police.
His brother complained about him, and I think reported him to the police, and his sister likewise complained about him. His family was very concerned. He was probably a pretty sick guy.
However, the local police apparently were unable to respond quickly enough. In his manifesto email, he said that he can't permit a PDF file, apist, and traitor to coat his hands with those crimes, basically implying that he believes President Trump and others in the administration are guilty of what was mentioned in the Epstein files, and decided to take action in his own hands. Although that's his stated reason for doing this, that's a very diluted rationale. Do you know why? Yes, because it reflects distorted thinking, where he assumes certainty, assigns himself moral authority, and justifies violence as a solution to complex, unverified claims. Although some of what happened that evening doesn't make complete sense, and maybe it will make more sense as more information is released, some claim that Trump just set this up all to rationalize the need for a White House ballroom.
The idea that they would stage a shooting to construct a ballroom, which was already being built, it's ridiculous. I'm sorry. Caltech grad, high IQ guy who went schizo just seems a lot more of a reasonable explanation.
And he also wrote this: I am no longer willing to permit a pedophile, rapist, and traitor to coat my hands with his crimes. What's your reaction to that?
Well, I was waiting for you to read that because I knew you would, because you're horrible people.
Oh, you think he was referring to you?
Excuse me. I'm not a You read that crap from some sick person, you should be ashamed of yourself reading that, because I'm not any of those things.
Mr. President,
and
these are the gunman's words.
Excuse me. You shouldn't be reading that on 60 Minutes. You're a disgrace. But go ahead, let's finish the interview.
However, I think we would all agree that there's no way that President Trump would want a made-up manifesto to basically accuse him of being a PDF file and an apist. Yeah, not allowed to say those words here, because otherwise we get...
He had social media accounts that had anti-Trump and anti-Christian rhetoric.
You should read, why don't you read all the anti-Trump? Why don't you read it? You just did, so why don't you read it?
Well, he had a lot of anti-Christian rhetoric. He was part of a group called the Wide Awakes. He had attended a No Kings protest in California.
No Kings.
Also keep in mind, just because someone pleads insanity doesn't mean they're just gonna be given meds and be able to walk free. They may spend many decades in a psychiatric facility as opposed to a prison, but they are not just given meds and walking free. Now in psychology, System 1 and System 2 are what's called our dual process models of thinking. System 1 is fast, intuitive, and emotional, while System 2 is slow, deliberate, and analytical. If Cole had planned this like Mitch Leary in the movie In the Line of Fire, where the character builds a plastic gun from scratch to commit the assassination, it would suggest him using his System 2 mode of thinking.
What the hell kind of gun is that? Something I made. No kidding?
Which would have made him far more dangerous because he'd use all of his intelligence in a calculated way to do something horrific. However, in Cole's apparent psychotic thinking, his entire plan was to run past Secret Service like they weren't even there. Now, who do you think is more frightening and dangerous? The villain who is slow and methodical?
Shit, it's light. Yeah, it's light. Wouldn't be interested in selling her, would you? No, I need it. Yeah, for what? To assassinate the president.
Or the villain who is quick and reckless? Yes, it's the slow and methodical one.
Why did you kill that bird, asshole?
That's what made Mitch Leary, played by John Malkovich, so unsettling in that movie.
David Coppinger, CIA. Mr. Leary used to be one of our operatives. Leary's what we nowadays call a wet boy.
What's a wet boy, Frank? Larry's an assassin.
Psychologically, Mitch Leary was using his training, intelligence, and creativity in a deliberate, controlled way to relentlessly carry out the assassination. But in reality, most criminals, regardless of their intelligence, don't operate that way. They often act using System 1 thinking, fast, emotional, and impulsive, which is why their criminal actions often lack sophistication. This is why very smart people, such as Cole Allen here, who graduated from Caltech in mechanical engineering, curiously also commit unsophisticated crimes, which often leads to them easily getting caught. They're not using their System 2 mental process of thinking, which would maximize their intelligence. Instead, they're operating on their System 1's fast and overly emotional thinking. I would argue that very few criminals ever use their System 2 process when planning and committing crimes. Do you know why? Yes, because committing crimes is usually stupid and illogical in the long term. Therefore, no matter how smart the perpetrator is, it's nearly impossible to operate in System 2 thought process, since the behavior fundamentally is illogical and irrational.
This is the gun that he discharged, and as those of us that have ever shot one of these know, what happens when you shoot that is the casing stays inside the firearm, and then if you reload it, it pops it out. My understanding is that it was inside the firearm, but hadn't been ejected.
Cole allegedly shot his shotgun once in all of this. However, we're not sure if that's the round that a Secret Service agent was shot by.
Ran right past the good guys with the guns, who did appear to open fire and once again missed. Missed and may have actually hit a fellow Secret Service officer. We're not sure who hit him.
However, that agent was allegedly saved by their bulletproof vest. Then Secret Service agents fire at him, and somehow they all miss. But are still able to apprehend him before he enters the banquet room.
You're alive! And you're a horrible shot.
What do you think about how Cole was oddly not hit by any of the Secret Service gunfire?
There you go! Move! Frank! I got him.
Do you think the Secret Service needs to spend more time at the gun range, or do you think something else is going on here?
But we saw 6 rounds fired when that guy approached the golf course, you know, he was lying in wait for Trump for 12 hours. And when Secret Service finally discovered him, they fired on him 6 times and missed every single time.
What's interesting is that Cole addressed the possibility of being shot by the Secret Service in his manifesto. He wrote that he would like to extend his appreciation to a great many of people, since he would likely not be able to talk to them again. Unless the Secret Service, he says, is astoundingly incompetent. However, it's possible when bullets started to fly in his direction, psychologically, everything likely got much more real, leading to his acute stress response, causing him to freeze, resulting in surrender. In other words, he likely chickened out, which saved his life. Psychologically, it's easy for someone like Cole to talk a big game when he wasn't yet experiencing chunks of lead whizzing past his head at 1,150 feet per second. Cole also wrote that he expected security cameras at every bend, bugged hotel rooms, armed agents every 10 feet, metal detectors out the wazoo, and what he says he got, he says, who knows, maybe they're just pranking me. Nothing, no damn security, not in transport, not in the hotel, not in the event. Psychologically, this signals possible additional grandiosity that the Secret Service knew he was coming and was hiding their countermeasures just for him, which may further suggest psychosis.
He checked in Friday. The event was Saturday. No one ever magged his bags. He just ran down the stairwell with his guns in his duffel. The woman saw him take the gun out, assemble it. She said he ran out and did a bunch of shooting.
He hit both check boxes. He's solo, and he traveled a great distance. And he got in the night before.
Yes.
Those are clues.
Yes.
Stevie Wonder would have picked up on them. Let's be crystal clear.
However, it also indicates just how little security presence there was in the Washington Hilton that day, and the days leading up to the White House Correspondents Dinner.
I love that they have like 2 random chicks holding the front door open. We're not even trying anymore. It's not even like, I just mean like they're not even like Secret Service people. It's like the girls who work here are holding the door. Even if it was the guys, it wouldn't even make it better. It's like she's fucking just like they might as well put a doorstop in. Like, what the they put up a doorstop and a scarecrow.
Of course, I'm not right about doing things.
They decided to use the lower level of security in spite of the fact that the entire cabinet was there. I mean, Rubio was there, Kash Patel was there, Hegseth was there. Like, they were all basically Vance and the president, obviously, they were all there. And yet they opted to have this lower level of security.
We also should recognize what did not happen. Law enforcement did not fail.
Why is the administration so united in how great the Secret Service of a job here is done? I don't get it. It's bizarre. If anything, that is the conspiracy.
Was this a massive security failure?
To the contrary, it was a massive security success story.
For there to continue to be these issues, again, that screams that we have a systemic failure here.
Why is it, top to bottom, every member of the admin is consistently defending the Secret Service when people like you and many others are like, hey, there are serious problems here?
I wish I knew the exact answer, but what I can point at from being in the administration is a culture that's almost zero fail, or this constant quest for good vibes and good news stories.
Where even someone possibly living with untreated paranoid schizophrenia did not believe he was being actively monitored, watched, or tracked in the hotel he was planning on carrying out the assassinations. And his assessment of the lack of security at that event was apparently quite correct, because Cole oddly made it as far as he did while open carrying a shotgun in his hands in a building where the president, vice president, nearly the entire presidential line of succession, congressional leadership, cabinet members, and media elite were snootying around. But it was interesting to see who the Secret Service agents were who were pretending to be guests.
We had resources all over. We had resources sitting at tables, literally in disguise, sitting maybe at your table, who knows?
And to finally see the counter-assault team take a bow of recognition on stage, since they're rarely ever seen.
Then the counter-assault comes in. Took 10 seconds for them to flank you, Mr. President, and then 20 seconds to get you out.
And now the elitist media can't stop talking about what happened that evening. You know why? Yes, psychologically, when an event directly involves a group, it triggers heightened personal relevance. In this case, media members themselves were present and involved in all of this, so it's no longer reporting on others' dangers, but instead part of their own story, increasing its perceived importance and impact. Additionally, the media is aware that audiences are drawn to narratives of threat and safety, so when they themselves are part of the event, it becomes a personally relevant story that they can amp up to their audiences, leading to intense coverage of this story. On top of the personal relevance, there's the perceived psychological factor of perceived status. The White House Correspondents Dinner is a gathering of media elites, and when that elite space is violated, it reinforces a feeling of threat to their in-group. These media elites may feel that their privileged space and roles as storytellers was under attack. This adds an element of protecting their in-group identity, making the event feel even more significant and personal to them, amplifying the need to continue telling this story due to its amplified self-importance. In other words, this story just feeds into their narcissism. It's interesting to see how psychologically different people respond to a crisis with their sympathetic division of their autonomic nervous system kicking in with fight, flight, or freeze. Some people froze in disbelief, some people were ready to fight by grabbing a chair, ready to swing it like a baseball bat.
I didn't get down. It was awesome. I literally took every minute of it in, and it was a pretty crazy, unique experience.
And then they took me away into a secure room, the men's room. It was just a frightening experience.
While some tried to flee by running to the doors or hiding under their table. While others never really experienced their sympathetic division of their autonomic nervous system kicking in and just continue to eat their salad. It's important to remember that behavior is not at all consistent across all people because it's influenced by a person's personality, prior training, prior experiences, and the people they're immediately around. Now watch this clip and see what you notice. Yeah, first it's odd that Vice President Vance was removed from stage before the president, but each VIP has their own assigned security detail that works with them 24/7.
Within seconds, grabbing the vice president by his coat, lifting him up.
It's possible they wanted more agents on the president before they made their move to usher him off stage, but it seems odd that it took them that long to get the president off stage. What do you think? Now, what do you notice here? Yes, as the Secret Service ushered the president off stage, the White House Correspondents Association president, Wajia Jiang from CBS News, thought they were also going to usher her out too with the president. But they brush her aside as they rush the president off stage, leaving her to fend for herself, crawling off stage unprotected. She was like, "Well, what about me? You're not going to let me into your protective huddle?" She probably never experienced a situation like that, where she was physically brushed aside by a group of men to protect another man where they absolutely did not care about her safety in that moment. Secret Service agents are trained to protect the president at all costs, to use their bodies as shields and even die for the president, not a CBS News reporter. This actually brings up an interesting situation where if you happen to be around the president and shots are fired at the president and in your direction, the Secret Service will rush in, possibly push you even further into the line of fire just to shield the president, ushering him off to safety, leaving you completely unprotected and vulnerable to shots fired in that direction. Their whole goal is to protect the president. They wouldn't care even if you end up being another human shield that's going to wind up helping to protect the president.
The first count is attempted assassination of the President of the United States. This count is punishable by up to life in prison. The second count is interstate transportation of a firearm to commit a felony. This is punishable by up to 10 years in prison. And the third count is discharge of a firearm during a crime of violence, which is punishable by a mandatory minimum term of imprisonment of 10 years, a maximum of life, and the 10 years is consecutive to any other sentence imposed.
Just one thing.
Aim high.
What?
Aim high.
Now in the comments, what do you think is most odd about what happened that evening at the White House Correspondents Dinner? Let everyone know in the comments below. Subscribe for more. And if you want exclusive content and channel perks, hit that join button now below, because your support makes all of this possible. I think we're all glad that no one really got physically hurt in all of this, which could have ended a lot worse. Hopefully, Cole can get help and justice served. See you next time.